Well, here we go again, but with all of the guardrails removed and Donald Trump being granted absolute immunity by the right-wing United States Supreme Court. Those images I showed you there are from June of 2020 when Donald Trump sent the National Guard to stand in formation on the Lincoln Memorial as a show of force following the murder of George Floyd back in 2020. Donald Trump will now be doing that throughout Washington, D.C. In moments, he will be making this announcement where it is believed he will be deploying at least 1,000 National Guard troops, potentially Marines and other military, turning the Washington, D.C. Area into a militarized zone, making it look like Kim Jong-un's North Korea, making it look like Russia. A horrific sight is about to unfold there. It should be noted that when you actually look at the stats, crime is down in Washington, D.C. significantly. Violent crime down 26%. Homicides down 12%. Assaults with dangerous weapons down 20%. The violent crimes significantly less in Washington, D.C. than red states. If you look at violent crimes per 1,000 people, in D.C. it's about 3.8 people becoming the victim of a violent crime per 1,000. But if you go to MAGA Mike Johnson's Louisiana, that's 6.2. Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, 4.7. Marco Rubio's Florida, 3.8. Greg Abbott's Texas, 4.06. Tommy Tuberville, Alabama, 4.04. The red states have significantly more violent crime than blue states, but this is Donald Trump's fascist dystopian view of the United States of America. And speaking of that fascist dystopian view, I was trying to remember where I saw the ICE formations of the Trump Gestapo who are doing Operation Trojan Horse on the back in these Penske trucks, and they all like huddle in, 30 of them, and then they jump out and start attacking migrants and citizens alike. If you have brown skin, they come after you, attack you, and put you in concentration camps. But I remember it was the Patriot Front. The white supremacist group, the Patriot Front, they did this tactic I saw months ago or before that. Here's the Patriot Front doing it, the white supremacist group. Here's how they do it. Play this clip. And now look at what Trump's Gestapo ICE is doing. I truly wonder, and we're trying to get the data, we'll look into it, how much Patriot Front, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and other white supremacist groups are now the same masked people that we see in Trump's ICE Gestapo, disappearing people in America and sending them into concentration camps across the country. Here, play this clip of, just so you can compare what ICE is doing at an Operation Trojan Horse. Here, play this clip. So yesterday also, Donald Trump continues to have this infatuation with the White House roof. I reported on Saturday how the White House press pool said that Donald Trump was going to go on the roof, but then Secret Service basically stopped him and said, no, he's not going on the roof, but the press was waiting to see. He was going to go on the roof and speak to the press again like he did earlier in the week. Remember, he went on the roof and he started talking about putting nuclear weapons on the roof and then pointing around to Washington, D.C. and the White House and says, this is my money. I bought this, everybody. My money. This is my money. I paid for all of this. Like, barely got any attention on corporate news. Of course, we cover it here at the MeidasTouch Network. Then on Saturday, he wanted to go on the roof again. And here he is, spotted. He went to a residence nearby to look at the roof. He's infatuated with the roof, to look at the roof of the White House. You see him right here on this video. You could play the B-roll, guys. Trump spotted looking onto the White House roof from a residence window. Of course, you probably have seen my other report. Don Jr. Made this post of Donald Trump throwing a green penis at WNBA basketball players below. That's a meme. The Republicans think this is funny, they think this is humor when Donald Trump and his family are posting memes of Donald Trump throwing green penises at WNBA female basketball players. That's the family, everybody. They're, you just don't understand humor, MeidasTouch. That's not funny. There's real serious issues. There are atrocities being committed in Gaza right now, and Donald Trump promised he would bring peace in 24 hours. There are atrocities being committed by Russia in Ukraine, and Donald Trump promised peace in 24 hours. And now he's freaking meeting with Putin in Alaska on this upcoming Friday, while sending National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. and having a federalized takeover of D.C. I'm just sorry, I fail to see the humor in this and the stand-up comedy as our economy is being harmed, as human beings are being disappeared, as the world is far less safe, as I see thousands of people, millions of people dying internationally. Sorry, I don't find any of this behavior funny or endearing at all. Should be noted, one of the things that Donald Trump announced as well over the weekend with the company Nvidia and AMD, the semiconductor AI companies, Trump announced that Nvidia and AMD will pay the United States government 15% of their revenues from chip sales in China in order to get exemptions to be able to do business in China. I mean, if you want to talk about central planning, if you want to talk about a merger of fascism and communism, Donald Trump is now going company by company to extort them and shake them down for them to get exemptions directly to him. It's a pay-for-play scheme, a U.S. company paying the government for a license. So if you're rich, if you're a billionaire, maybe you get it, but you have to pledge loyalty to Donald Trump. Again, how utterly despicable is that? Oh, I'm going to do a whole other video on this, so check back in like 90 minutes, or depending on when you're watching this, take a look back at the MeidasTouch feed. So there was a major meeting at Chevening, an area in Kent in the United Kingdom, where our former European allies, because Donald Trump pushed them away, came together to basically call out Trump's envoy to Russia, Steve Witkoff. Witkoff claimed that Russia was going to give back territory to Ukraine. No such deal was made. Witkoff just either lied or misinterpreted what Putin said. Putin said that he wanted all of Ukraine's territory and basically wanted a surrender, and as a stipulation to meeting with Donald Trump, which then Donald Trump agreed to meet in Alaska with Putin after that. And then Witkoff had to be like, oopsies, maybe I didn't hear what Putin was saying. Actually, Putin wants to take all of Ukraine's territory, not actually give territory back. Yeah, that's kind of a big mistake, idiot. And I also want you all to know, I'll talk about this more in the video I'm about to do. In Russian history classes, they teach that Alaska belongs to Russia. So when Putin's doing this in Alaska, he's also doing it symbolically to send the message that Alaska is his. I just want you to be very clear that that's what's happening. We also learned more horrific news in Gaza. 4 Al Jazeera journalists were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. It's like so many Al Jazeera reporters have been killed in Gaza based on these airstrikes. And most of these Al Jazeera reporters had posthumous messages ready to go, predicting their deaths. I mean, how morbid indeed. Shout out to all of our friends in Columbus, deep red Columbus, Ohio. Protesters lined up from High Street from Worthington to Columbus. They made an 8-mile long human chain out there in Ohio to protest ICE, to protest Trump's fascism. So what's up to all the Meidas Mighty out in Columbus and throughout Ohio? Finally, let me just go over this report with you from Goldman Sachs. Still a very early analysis of the tariff effects through June of 2025. So we're still missing 2 months of data in terms of who's eating the tariffs, how's it working. Foreign exporters are absorbing about 14% of U.S. tariffs. U.S. companies ate about 64%, where U.S. consumers ate 22%. Protected U.S. companies also raise prices. Consumers will see big price increases through the fall. So what happened was, and this is Goldman Sachs data, it's not like a liberal organization, it's Goldman Sachs data. And Goldman Sachs said, look, these corporations, they were able to bring a lot of inventory in early. They were able to do their best to not pass on to consumers, but still 22% of the costs got passed on to consumers. But now companies have no choice because the companies are going bankrupt. So we're going to start to see more like 30, 40, 50, we're already seeing it, 60, 70, 80% being passed on to consumers. So I won't be surprised if we're going to see 4 or 5% inflation coming up in the next 6 months. It's just going to steadily increase. That's the way this is headed, folks. And as Donald Trump is there, scared, shriveled, weak, sickly, he's putting those National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. After the announcements made today, I'm going to give another report on it. We'll talk more about it. Hit subscribe. Let's stay up to date on all of the news. Check out our Substack also, MeidasPlus.com. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.